Hey guys, welcome back here to Advanced Bass Fishing, and appreciate you guys swinging by the channel today. And we're going to be talking about what I call blind spots today. And those are places on a lake that they just don't get much attention, and they're overlooked. A lot of people don't know them when they see them, because in bass fishing, there's so much information out there, and people are better than they've ever been at fishing, and they can easily identify the high percentage areas. And those areas get a lot of fishing pressure. But there's a lot of places that bass use that just don't get much attention. And I want to sort of go over what those are today and how to find them and take advantage of them in today's episode here. Also, guys, thank you very much for everybody that's taken time to hit that subscribe button here at Advanced Bass Fishing. Really appreciate that. And thank you very much for everybody that's been using and bookmarking my tackle warehouse link that I put in every video description. Guys, if you're getting something out of Advanced Bass Fishing that's helping you, and you have to buy your fishing tackle, the best thing you can do to support the channel and get your tackle is just use and bookmark my tackle warehouse link in every video description. And anytime you buy something, the channel gets a small percentage of a commission on the profit. If you buy some worms or a reel or something like that, it's not much, but it adds up over time if a lot of people do it. So I really appreciate everybody that's been doing that and supporting the channel. Okay, this is what I always look for, guys. Early on in my career, I didn't know that much about fishing, so my theory was I was going to try to find areas that nobody else would take the time to get into. I mean, hard to get into areas, places where you had to drag your boat across shallow water, places that I had to clear limbs out of the way to get in, tight areas, places that most people didn't want to scratch their boat up. I felt that if I could get into those areas, I could, catch some fish a lot of people would miss. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But what I tried to do as I evolved as a tournament angler is I tried to put myself in the position of everybody else and think about what they would fish. So this is what the tip I want to give you here. When you're running down the lake or you're fishing, whatever body of water you're fishing, take a second and try to figure out, okay, if you're the average angler, what looks good to you? Is that row boat docks over there? That looks really good. Or there's a bank over there that's got a bunch of lay down trees on it. That looks good. Or there's a nice lily pad field right there. That looks really good. If you think that, somebody else is thinking the same thing, and those are the areas that get a lot of fishing pressure. And they may be good areas. There may be a lot of fish there because it provides cover. But what happens is you can take the best place to fish on any lake, the fishiest looking place that just everything's perfect for the fish. And if you put a lot of fishing pressure on that area, it neutralizes it and it makes it where it's not as good. And those fish will move out of those areas to basically get away from the pressure. They don't want a trolling motor whizzing over their head. They don't want electronic pings coming at them from every direction. They don't want the exhaust of an outboard motor, firing up 20 foot away from where they're living at. So they will literally leave a good looking area and they will go to areas that may not be suitable or as suitable habitat for them, but they feel more comfortable there because the noise and the pressure is not there. So that's what I try to think. And don't get me wrong, I still fish the good looking areas too, but I always try to look for inobvious type areas that are getting overlooked. Okay, here's how you find those areas. First of all, you got to realize that most anglers are pretty lazy. So they want to set down on a good looking place where they can fish. They want to set down, like I said, on a nice looking rocky bank that goes on forever, or a big old line of boat docks they can fish. Or maybe there's a long grass bed they can get on and just stay on it. They don't want to take time to run across the lake to fish one boat dock. Or if you're running down the lake and on one side of the lake, you got a bunch of nice lay down trees and logs in the water, but on the other side of the lake, you've got one log. They don't want to go over and hit that one log. This is the first thing you have to remember. Isolated cover. Guys, if you find cover that is isolated, most people don't want to take time to go over there and make 5 or 10 casts on one piece of cover and move on. Therefore, those isolated structures, they get overlooked a lot. Don't pass them up, guys. If you see any type of bass habitat that is by itself, that doesn't have anything else around it, oops, sorry about that, just take some time and go over there, and it'll take you less than 5 minutes to go over and fish it. And I've caught tons of good fish, you know, just fishing those places that I feel anglers are a little bit too lazy to get into. The next type of an area, guys, that you want to look for are the nothing looking banks, but they can't be nothing looking banks that are just nothing but shallow. If you can find a nothing looking bank that has some type of proximity to a little bit deeper water, this is another really good area. So the way that you find that is look at your map, like your mapping system, and try to find a bank somewhere where the creek channel swings in. It doesn't have to swing in right against the bank, but the creek channel is within, like, say 100 to 150 feet away from the shoreline. And the bank is nothing looking. It could be a clay bank with no cover. It could be a gravelly bank. It could be a mud bank, whatever. Just a nothing looking flat bank with that proximity to deeper water. And guys, a lot of times those fish will get on those areas simply because nobody fishes them. But you got to have the access to deep water. You can't get on like a flat, nothing looking bank that's like half a mile from some deeper water where it's 1.5 feet deep for a half mile. That's not going to work. Okay, the next thing, the final thing I want to talk about, guys, well, there's actually two more things. Before I get into the last one, let's talk about one more. When you're running down the lake, let's say, for example, the big launch area you're taking out. Most lakes have, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever major launch facilities. If you launch at a major boat launch facility and you're running down the lake, let's say this launch facility is in a cove. So you got the option of turning right or turning left as you come out of the lake. A lot of times what happens is when you come out of that cove and turn right or left, people tend to stay on that same side of the lake as they run down the lake. They don't run all the way across the lake and then start running down the lake. One thing that you can do is watch how other people are running down the lake as far as the path they take, the route they take, and try to go on the opposite side of the lake from that well-known launch area. This is an area, guys, that just subconsciously people don't fish as much because it's sort of out of the way. So one of the first things I do, if I launch at a launch facility, instead of like going right or left out of the launch area, I run straight across the lake and then go right or left. A lot of times those are some really good areas. And finally, hard to access areas. Now, most of the time, these hard to access areas are going to be in the upper extremities of the lake. It's going to be in the upper river portions. It's going to be in some of the upper portions of some of the major creek arms. It could be the back of a bay, something like that. Areas that get extremely shallow. This is another really good area that gets overlooked. Places that a lot of people think the water's too shallow to catch fish in. And if you go back in those areas and that water is really, really shallow, but you do have maybe a ditch or something here or there that's maybe just a little bit deeper, try to access and go as far back in those areas as you possibly can. A lot of times there's not a lot of fish back in those areas, but there's always some fish back in those areas because, again, people don't want to take the time to lift their trolling motor up or trim their motor up and idle way back across some shallow area to get to a little ditch. But I've won tournaments in those type of areas before. So anyway, guys, that's just some of the overlooked places like that. That's something you're going to have to probably do more as fishing pressure gets a little bit heavier. And anyway, give it a try. I hope it helped you guys out. We'll talk later.